National Sales Director for AHCP. Today is our weekly sales training session, so thank you for attending. It's actually a pretty important topic in that a lot of people in general, not only salespeople, but a lot of people in general don't properly set goals. In fact, if you ask many people, what are your goals this year, either health, spiritual, personal, monetary, investment-wise, too often they don't have really much of an answer. And that's a problem because if you don't have a goal, it's nearly impossible to get there. In sales, it's even more important because we have certain income level or a certain income level that we want to reach. We have monetary goals, and it is actually the lifeblood of our finances, meaning most of the time people in insurance, that's their main line of income. So you should set goals. It's interesting. When I used to interview people to hire them as an agent, I would ask, well, how much money do you want to make? And they would often answer with, well, my bills are about, $40,000 a year. And the question I would ask is, so do you just want to pay your bills or do you want to make above and beyond? Another problem that we often encounter is that people set their goals too low based on either a limited mindset, past experience, or a lack of understanding of what is possible. That's why we share on every Monday meeting the top producers so that you can see what people are doing and you can shift your goals or your perspective in order to earn that income. So today I'm going to go over setting and achieving sales goals and some of the stuff I did in the past to achieve my sales goals when I was a full-time salesperson, and other little tips and hints and examples that you could use to hopefully get a better grasp and mindset as to how important and simple it is to set and achieve goals. Why should we have goals? Because we are driven by goals, by getting results, by the euphoria of achieving and getting that new car or whatever it is, going away on a trip to Europe. Whatever it is, these are things that we get excited about. This is why we must have goals, because if you don't have goals, you don't have direction, you don't have somewhere you're headed, that's when life gets stagnant, people get bored, and they feel uninspired. That's why you have to have goals. Now, I don't only mean monetary goals for how much you want to earn as a salesperson. I also mean personal goals as to what you want to do with that money that you're earning so that it feels really good, that it feels better about achieving that goal, and setting up yourself with rewards if you hit your first quarter quota, or if you hit a weekly bonus you set for yourself, where you go out and have ice cream, or you go and play mini golf or something like that. You should always have these ongoing goals so that you always have something to look forward to. And this is the example I want to use is, if you've ever seen a child the night before Christmas and Christmas morning, they are crazy excited. They almost can't sleep. They come running down in their footy pajamas, slide across the floor, can't wait to tear open the presents because they are looking forward to that gift that they got or the gifts that they got. And then what happens in the afternoon of a holiday? After those presents are ripped open, they played with the toys, put in the video games, whatever it is, they look bored because they don't have anything else to look forward to. And that's how we are as adults. We get bored easily if we don't have things to look forward to. That's why a lot of people look forward to the summer coming up, because they will be able to go to the pool, go to the beach, go to outdoor concerts. There are things to do, and those are goals. And of course, it generally takes money to achieve these goals. So the more you focus on setting financial goals, the more you can achieve your personal goals. Now, moving forward with this example, amazing quote, "Anticipation is the electricity of childhood." When you first start a job, you can't wait to get your first paycheck because it's an accomplishment. When you have a job like that, well, let's say you're a salaried worker, you put in a lot of effort up front. You show up early, you don't take your entire lunch, you're learning all new stuff, you probably work a little late, and then when you get that first paycheck, it's very rewarding and it's something to look forward to. It's the same thing. Getting a sale is a great euphoric experience as a salesperson to experience, right? So getting paid for it is even better. In fact, we get paid to help people, right? We're helping them achieve their health goals, getting them protected so that maybe their assets are safe. And of course, we might prevent something major in their health, because if we give them a great policy and they find something early enough, there's a lot at stake in our business, which is amazing to get paid to do this for other people. So every phone call should be anticipation of moving you closer to your goals and closing those sales, because obviously that's the number one goal of any salesperson, is closing sales. We're going to go a little bit deeper than that. I want to give you a great example. We just passed a holiday weekend, and if you've ever worked in an office on the Friday before a holiday weekend, you will see people scurrying and working their butts off so that they are totally prepared to leave with no work to do over the weekend. They get all their work done so that they can leave with a clear head and have a 3-day weekend. Can you imagine if people worked like that every day? And here's the most important part. What drove them? What drove them was a 3-day vacation or holiday. How excited do people get when they're getting ready to go on vacation? I know I was wicked excited when I went to Greece. I think it was 2013. I couldn't wait. It was like counting down the days. This is, again, an example of goals and how important they are and how we look forward to them and prepare. You should prepare your career and your life the same way. Jim Rome says, why do people put so much thought into preparing their vacation more so than preparing their life? What's more important? And that's paraphrased. It's not an exact quote, but it's very similar to what he said. And that's the whole point. People will prepare more for a 3-day holiday weekend than the next 3 years of their life. So again, I'm just trying to get you focused on the mindset of how important goals are, because if you don't have them, you really need to start setting them. And now this is what's interesting. We are all taught to achieve goals from an early age when we are in school and we have homework due on Friday. That is a goal set, and then usually a goal achieved, unless, of course, your dog ate it. Then maybe you didn't achieve that goal. But that's what we are taught. You have to a project or a due date on a target, and that's basically goal setting. You have a target, that's something you need to accomplish, and you have a due date, a timeline as to when it's done. If anyone saw my session on my version of SMART goals and goal setting, you'll totally understand that this interlocks with that. If you didn't see it, go to ahcpsales.com under the training tab, Motivation Mondays, and you will find setting SMART goals. But this is a really good point as to how we're all really set into the mindset of achieving goals. Another thing is everyone has set and achieved goals as an adult. And I'm going to give you a really interesting example. A grocery list is basic goal setting. You need things. You're going to go to the store and get it, walk through the aisles, grab your items, you check them off as the goal is achieved, and you pay and you leave. What happens if you don't show up with a grocery list? You forget things, or you buy impulse items and spend too much time, too much money wandering around trying to remember what you wanted to do. It sounds a lot of people's lives in goal setting. They're wandering around wondering what to do, and they're not accomplishing anything, wasting a lot of time. And what happens when you pull up to your driveway after you went to the grocery store without your list? Bing, it hits you. Oh, I forgot the milk. So you either have to invest more time and go back, or you put it off. This is a great analogy for everyone in their life and their daily goals. But it is also proof that when you write things down and you have a system and a process in place, you can easily achieve your goals. And everyone has. It's just a matter of looking at it this way, but looking at the bigger picture in sales and what are your sales goals. So what is the most important part of successfully achieving any goal? And yes, I wrote it a little differently on the slide, but this is the most important part, is setting properly defined goals. And I'm also a life coach, and I was doing a whole bunch of coaching before I entered into this position. And a lot of people want to lose weight, but they never define how much weight. Or a lot of people want to earn more money, but they never define how much. So it is almost impossible to achieve a goal that isn't set. So if you just say, hey, you know what, I want to lose a couple of pounds. Is that really the goal, or is it 10 pounds? Is it 15 pounds? And then how do you know when you got there? That's why people don't achieve goals, is because if they don't know how much weight they want to lose, they have no way of knowing if they're successful. And when you don't feel like you're making progress, you get discouraged and generally give up. It's the same thing with money. Yeah, I want to earn extra money. It doesn't feel like a lot of money. Well, how much? And then how do you position yourself to either earn the extra money or lose the weight, using that example? In sales, my dad told me to get into sales because he said you can make as much money as you want. And unfortunately, initially I struggled because I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't attend the morning meetings where they were teaching you how to sell. And then once I started doing that, it was like, eureka, I can sell. So you can write your own ticket depending on your level of skill and the investment of time and proper planning that you're going to put into this, because it really is a wide open, multi-million-dollar potential industry that we're in, and there's no reason that you can't get a piece of that pie. For example, if you were thinking of, hey man, how can I earn $1 million in commission? Well, you probably have to have some agents underneath you. And a lot of people have the limited mindset of thinking, well, I can't write 10 policies in a week. How would I keep up with the paperwork? Well, at that point, you would hire someone to do the paperwork. And that's why you may, if anyone who caught the interview I did with one of our top salespeople, he has someone who is a verifier. After he sets up the policy, they verify it and basically submit the policy. And then there are other people I've spoke to who have someone who tees up the call, meaning it's someone screening the client and they're interested. They then transfer that client over. So again, no matter what your goals are, no matter what your income you would like to have is, you can do this as long as you replicate these success steps. And the most important one is starting with the goal and then working backwards, as in the steps it takes to get there. All right, so I'm going to go over some steps to success that you may want to incorporate into your life and figure out the answers to. How many hours will you work in the day? When I was just selling, I worked 11 to 4 Monday through Thursday because I wanted to go to the beach every afternoon and I don't like waking up early, and I figured I would have a 3-day weekend every week. And it worked out really well once I got into the groove. Now, when I originally started selling on my own, I was working from 9 to 9. It took about 90 days for me to get into the groove and creating processes and systems in place that allowed me to reach my monetary goals within those 5 hours of work. So I was literally working about 20 hours a week. My friends hated me. But what happened was I combined the skill set of selling with some technology, with the process and the goal that I wanted to achieve, and figured, okay, how do I do it within this time frame? And it always works out similar to how you design it. So that's one of the questions. Now, if you're new at this, you probably have to invest a little more time until you get better at closing and better at gaining referrals and better at building benefit packages instead of just selling one insurance plan where you create more residual based income. And then it takes time for that residual based income to grow. So if you invest more up front, down the road, you will often see that you don't have to keep that overworking of yourself happening. It won't be necessary. You'll be in a much better flow and in control of your business. So right now, how many hours will you work in a day? How many phone calls will you make in one day, either to generate new business, to follow up, to network, things of that nature? How much cold calling, if any? A lot of people don't like cold calling, but we did a test where you could call 20 to 30 people in an hour and leave messages. And that's 40 to 60 people in 2 hours. And we always wound up getting 1 or 2 appointments out of those 2-hour blocks. So if you called for 8 hours, you would have, let's say 4 to 8 appointments. So if you did that for 2 days, you'd end up with 8 to 16 appointments that you could run the rest of the week, whether it's face-to-face or over the phone. So don't be afraid of cold calling if you're calling the right people and saying the right qualifying questions when you call them. So cold calling still works. I know a lot of people say cold calling is dead, cold calling sucks. I think it's the salespeople that suck and the mentality that suck along with it, because cold calling, you can still rock cold calling what we do because we have a great product that is in the forefront of everyone's mind. So don't shy away from that. But how much cold calling will you do? How much networking? Are you going to go out to your local martial arts studio and talk to them about accident plans or anything like that, or a hair salon that maybe doesn't have group coverage, or anything that you might be able to partner with a real estate agent, an accountant, whatever it is? How much networking will you do on a daily basis or a weekly basis? And how many leads will you buy, if any? Because your budget is going to be very important, and reinvesting in your career is going to be very important. So again, you want to look at this as an overall business and a marketing plan that will correlate to your goals. All right, so I'm going to go over my goals when I was selling full time, which was obviously before the ACA, and you'll see why and what I mean. So, but setting goals is going to be important. Like, what are your top goals every day? What are the things you have to achieve to earn an income? That's how I looked at it, and I broke it down in these modules. So, my goal was to sell $300 in monthly premium, whether it was 3 $100 policies or one $300 policy. It didn't matter what it was. That was my goal, because that would allow me to earn the income level that I wanted to be at, and somewhat had to be at, because I live in Long Island, New York, which is one of the more pricey areas. So there are certain things you have to do, and then there are certain things you want to do on top of that. So that was my goal, 300, and I was primarily selling health insurance. This was before I switched to Medicare supplements. Second thing I would do in my daily task list was check pending status. I wanted to see if any policies got issued, if maybe there was a counter offer, if there was a hang up on one of the policies, or I needed more information, a billing didn't go through, whatever that was, I would have to check all of that. And then, of course, I would reach out to my clients that coincided with whatever I found when I was checking status. Did they accept counter offers? Back in the day, we used to be able to accept certain counter offers on behalf of the client, and mine would already know, you're probably going to get hit with a counter offer, so let me know if it's okay to accept it when we get it. And then I would be able to accept some. Of course, others I would have to call them. But even in that case, I would also be able to call people and say, hey, congratulations, your policy was issued, because when I check status, if I saw it was issued, that would be something for me to do. So then I would also have on my list of daily tasks, and I would tend to move these towards the afternoon, because my number one goal is to get 300 in premium, which means I want to be calling new people to do that. And then as a backup plan, I would have any follow-up qualified appointments, meaning I would call Mrs. Smith at 3 o'clock because she had 2 days to talk to HR about when her policy is going to, when we could start her policy. And then that I would be able to do that later in the afternoon. So you'll start to see the pattern unfold as to why it happens. I will tell you why it's like this. And then a next day phone calls, which means if I wrote a policy yesterday, I will call the client today and say, hey, just want to check in on you. You got time to sleep on it? Do you have any questions? It is an amazing tool, because most people never call anyone after the sale is made. It doesn't matter if you buy a car, a piece of electronics, cell phone, whatever it is. Almost no salesperson will follow up after they got your commission, which is terrible. So now calling them the next day will obviously help eliminate the competition if they got any other calls, and I had to say, oh, no, here's why this plan's better, and resell them on it, or whatever would happen. And also goes a long way towards gaining referrals, because I am following up after the sale to make sure they're okay. And then I would send out my thank you cards, because I do that with every client. I put my business cards in there to start planting the seeds for referrals, or anything, put them in my birthday calendar, whatever it is, add them to my monthly newsletter as well, which is number 7. So these were my tasks every day. Now, there were things, of course, that would jump in and derail me at times. But here is what's really important that I want to show you. These were the top 3 most important steps for me to take every day. Sell $300 in monthly premium, check status, and then call for and accept counter offers. Call my clients, let them know their policies issued, etc. Now, why would this be the most important thing? Because this equals all of the money that is being brought into my company or my bank account. These 3 tasks are the most important. Submit policies, check status, see which ones got issued, call for, accept counter offers, whatever it is. There might be a headache, but these 3, and they may vary obviously now because of the open enrollment and health reform, meaning the rules with health reform. And a little bit in Medicare subs, if you're not doing turning 65, you will have to make sure things get issued and things don't come up. So it will work in some variation if you want to adopt this as your own. But everything here basically pays the bills. It means I'm submitting policies, I'm getting policies issued, I'm accepting counter offers, or I'm calling clients for things that they need to get the policies issued. That overall is the number one thing, is get policies issued. So you have to submit, check, follow up, etc. Then after that, I could do all the rest of the things. Now, let's say it took me from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. to do just the first three, meaning I didn't write 300 in premium till 3:30, and I'm refusing to work late. Let's use that as the example. So I have a half hour to check pending status and then do my calls and stuff, right? Even if I don't get to steps 4 through 7, I am still accomplishing the critically important tasks that I need to earn my income and survive and be able to buy more leads and be able to build my website, whatever it is, and buy a car, whatever it is. Those are the most important things. And a lot of people get distracted by things other than selling. So when you're starting to write out, you're prioritizing your subtasks that go with your main overall goal. You want to make sure you're viewing it as, okay, what am I doing to earn money every day, and prioritize that. I don't care if it's walking door to door talking about health insurance, or final expense, going to funeral parlors, whatever it is that popped in my head. Just make sure you do it every day and start building those seeds to build a wealthy agency. And what does it take to build a wealthy agency? Number one is obviously insurance sales. Number two is cross-selling. And we discussed cross-selling in one of my trainings. I think it was a Wednesday sales training. And you want fries with that, is cross-selling, meaning you're going to offer alternate products like the Trio Med, AHCP we have, or the guaranteed issue STM, or the simplified issue. So let's say you have a family and one of them missed insurance. Okay, guess what? We have a guaranteed issue or simplified issue, which you would offer first. Short-term medical plan. So whatever it is, you want to build a benefits package by cross-selling. And what happens when you do that? You now start to develop multiple streams of residual income. Where I was saying earlier, you don't have to work as hard 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 3 years from now. That's why you're going to start to really build overall wealth and have multiple sources. So if one thing changes, for whatever reason, a commission changes. And another step for success in building a wealthy agency is referrals. Most people are very neglectful of referrals. In fact, that's going to be one of the sales training on Wednesday coming up, is how to work your referrals. And it's largely untapped. It's usually very reactive rather than proactive, in that people will take the referral when it comes to them, but salespeople don't often ask as much as they can, because again, they don't have a referral process in place. And if you missed processes, that's another video that's on demand in our library. And then, of course, repeat business, which means you have to keep that customer happy. You don't want to lose their business. That was last week's session, is about how sales is service and all the statistics and reasons that people leave and don't come back. So you want to have a client come back, renew if they get a policy increase. You want them to come to you, which is all part of branding, which is another upcoming training in the next 10 days or so. So keep an eye out for all that fun stuff. And of course, retention. There are strategies to retain customers. The monthly newsletter, like you saw that on my top 7. Touching your client once a month with just updates on your life personally. Maybe you want to offer advice, a health tip, whatever it is. Do a blog, send them a link to your blog. Just keep you in their vision and brand yourself as the go-to person for health insurance. Here are the important questions that you need to ask yourself. How much do you want to earn, either by the end of this year or in the next 12 months, in the next 5 years? And then, of course, how are you going to do that? What will it take? What is it going to take? What do you have to sacrifice in order to get it? Because most people forget you have to pay first in order to receive. And I had this conversation with someone the other day. You have to, when you buy gas out here, you have to put your credit card in first or go pay cash before they let you have it. If you're going to go to college, you have to pay up front, right? Before you can actually go and paying them to learn, right? You're paying them to teach you. It's everything. It's sowing and reaping. It's the investment and the reward. One of my favorite quotes is from Earl Nightingale, where he says, "Don't be like the man sitting in front of the stove waiting for heat, but he didn't put the wood in." So you have to ask yourself, what is it going to take for me to do this? Will I have to learn more sales skills? Do I have to get more comfortable on the computer? Do I have to get more comfortable with the products? Do I have to come out of my shell and talk to more people? Do I have to be a little more bold? Whatever it is, you can do it as long as you want to and if you invest. But first, you have to figure out what it will take and commit to doing that. And I'm going to give you a simple formula. And now, if you're brand new, you may not be able to figure this out. But if you're savvy, you've been around for a while, you'll be able to figure this out, because this is something that will allow you to achieve your goals every single day. And I would always ask agents when I was an independent trainer, and I'll still ask all of you, is how many sales do you want per day? Let's say the answer was 1. Okay, great place to start. You want 1 sale because, the average premium is whatever, and that brings you in X amount of dollars. So let's say you wanted 1 sale per day. The next question is, how many people must you speak to, as in get on the phone and talk to, in order to get that 1 sale? Meaning, how many people do you have to present insurance to gain 1 sale? Now, it depends on your level of skill here. It could be 4 people, it could be 10 people, it could be 20. If it's 20, you need work on your presentation, and please contact me. It should be somewhere between 4 and 8 on a regular basis. So let's say it's 5, meaning you want 1 sale and you have to speak to 5 people to close 1, right? 1 out of 5, 20%. That's not a bad ratio. It could be 1 out of 10, 10% too. It's still not a bad ratio. But whatever it is, you need to know the answer. But I'm going to use the example of 1 sale. You have to talk to 5 people. Now, the next question, if you want 1 sale and you have to speak to 5 people to get that 1 sale, how many people must you call to speak to 5? Meaning, do you have to call 20 to get 5 on the phone to get 1 sale? Do you have to call 30? And if you call whatever that number is, let's say it's 30, every day to speak to that 5 people, you will get that 1 sale more often than not. Maybe not every day, but there may be days where you get 2 sales. But I can guarantee you that when you know these numbers, you will be able to consistently reach your sales goals every day, day in, day out, without excuses, without questions. And yes, if calling 30 people sounds crazy and you don't have money for 30 leads in a day, maybe you want to buy exclusive leads and you could write 1 out of 3 or 4, and then you're done. You don't even have to work the rest of the day, because that's another perspective. Is often I would speak to people and say, so what is your marketing plan? And they said, well, you know what? I'm going to buy about 5 leads a day, and then I'm going to start there. And I said, great. So if nobody picks up the phone, you just work from 10 a.m. to 10:07, and you're done. So that is really not a good strategy. So keep in mind, your marketing is going to be important. How you're going to keep contacting people so that you can keep closing. You can't just make 10 phone calls, and if you don't get anyone on the phone, take the rest of the day off. You're going to be broke eventually, or frustrated, or discouraged. You cannot let that happen. So you have to position yourself, again, by starting on your monetary goal, figuring out how much is 1 sale worth. How many sales do you need? If you wanted to earn $80,000 in the next 12 months, is that 50 sales total? Is it 100 sales total? You see this stuff all the time when you see a bonus or a contest, I should say, meaning win a trip to Hawaii. You only need, $50,000 in premium. And that breaks down to 80 policies over the next 6 months or whatever it is. The numbers are always broken down so you know exactly what it takes to achieve that goal. But most salespeople never do that in their own careers. And it's huge, and it's a mistake if you don't, and it's hugely important that you do.